right, so we are back with the recaps for the divisional round weekend, and you know what? I'm just gonna gloat. I'm just gonna put it up. I know it's 4-0. It's not 16-0 or anything like that, but I got all four right. I saw a lot of people saying the Bills were going to win, and the Bengals really had no chance because obviously they had to go on the road too. And you know, I'm sitting and thinking, I'm like. Did you see how the Bills played against the Dolphins last week? I don't think they're gonna win. And so that's probably what's the biggest upset. It was a bad game. It was a terrible game. Now, I was talking up this game saying, hey, this should be Sunday night. This should be, last game of the weekend. This is the hypest game of the weekend. it did not deliver. It really under-delivered. It was really bad. And it wasn't I guess it wasn't like the worst game ever. And the Bills kind of kept it close. It was like 17-7 at halftime or 17-10 at halftime. I forget what it was. But then the second half, Bills didn't really do a lot. And I believe, was it 24-10 was the final score? So there wasn't a lot going on in the second half. Now, it was a snow game, and so obviously that's going to affect your game plan. That's going to affect your footing and whatnot. Yes, I totally get that. But, again, if it was 17-7 at half, that means the Bills put up 3 in the second half, and the Bengals put up 7. If it was 17-10, the Bengals put up 7, and the Bills put up 0. Whatever it was. I forget what the actual final score was. But just not a lot of scoring in the second half. I didn't really watch. I watched the first half, and then I actually just went about my day and did other stuff during the third quarter. Came back during the fourth quarter, and just like, okay, I'll finish this game up. It's not really that good. It just wasn't that good. So I want to start with that. I know we're not usually I start with the Saturday games, but this was the hypest game of the weekend. And it did not deliver, in my opinion. And a lot of people are saying that too. But I thought the Bills were going to struggle, and they did. The way a third stringer almost beat the Bills, it's like, okay, I don't think they're going to win against the Bengals. And they didn't. I just thought they'd put up more of a fight. I thought there would be way more of a fight in this game. So, now we'll go backwards to Saturday. We'll start with the Jags and the Chiefs, which probably was game of the weekend. I don't know. Niners, Cowboys, everyone, they're going to shit on the Cowboys because, the Cowboys lost. And, I love that, That was low score. It was really defensive, though. That was a really good defensive game. But at least the Jags and Chiefs were, there was actually some points being put up. It's just the offense. It's like Dak is terrible, and then Brock Purdy actually looked like a rookie QB. He actually looked like he was getting, startled and whatnot by it, the Cowboys defense, which I think was top 10. I think this year it's a top 10 defense for sure. And the offense let them down. That's why they lost this game, was because the offense just is terrible. Terrible. So I think I'll give game of the week, game of the weekend, whatever you want to say. I'll give that to Jags and Chiefs. Just because the Eagles blew out the Giants, and the Bengals, again, it was like 24-10 was the final score. I forget what the actual score was. And then again, it was 19-12 for San Francisco and Dallas. But it was sloppy. It was really sloppy. So there's not a lot of games here. But it was fun. I mean, the Jags showed up playing their hearts out for most of the 4 quarters. Had a couple chances there at the end, and Trevor Lawrence threw 2 passes or 2 interceptions. Is it 2 interceptions? No, it was a fumble and then an interception. Two turnovers in 3 plays. And the Chiefs were just able to just kind of drain the clock and, kind of stop them on defense enough. So, good game. They played 3.5 quarters. the Jags did. So yeah, I'll give that game of the weekend. Eagles and Giants. Now, I saw some people talking about how, this will be, a good game. Giants have a chance. to maybe upset, to do some damage to Philly. I never saw that. When I was doing my breakdown or looking at the games, doing my picks and whatnot, I never really thought the Giants had a chance. Now I thought the Jags had less of a chance. I thought the Giants would at least maybe put up 17, 21 points, something like that. But I figured I'm like the Eagles are just gonna walk their way to the NFC Championship game because the Giants to me don't feel like a team that should be in the championship game. They don't feel like a team that can compete with the Eagles, with the Cowboys, with the Niners. They don't feel like one of those top tier teams. So I never really gave the Giants credit. Never really thought they would do anything, and they didn't. They got killed. To the point where I didn't even watch this game. I watched the highlights of this game. I didn't watch this game at all when it aired live. This was, I mean, I looked at the score. It was like the second quarter. It was like 21-0. I'm okay. I'm glad I didn't want to stream that. I had people asking if I was going to stream that game on Saturday. I'm like, we'll see. I'm not really feeling the game right now. We'll see what happens. I'm glad I didn't because it was like 28-0 at half or something like that. Or maybe it was 21-3 at half. I forget what the score was. But the Giants, I think, put up, was it 14 or 10? No, it was 38-7. That's right, it was 38-7 because people are talking about how it was the same as when the Eagles did it. Was it 5 years ago? To the day when they beat the Vikings 38-7. I think that was the championship game, though. I believe that was the championship game. So that's it. It was 38-7 was this game. So Giants, I think they didn't score touch. I think that touchdown was the third quarter. I think. But it was brutal. This was brutal to watch. They had no answers for that offense, no answers for that defense, and it did not it didn't look good at all for the Giants. So you got a bright future. You got the divisional round, yes, but right now you didn't have the weapons, you didn't have the defense to compete with these top tier teams. It probably would have been worse if it was the Niners to be. Well, maybe not worse because again, it's a division rival. So, but this was just a bad game if you're a Giants fan. So, yeah. So I mean, Eagles took care of business. And then we'll move on. Again, I already talked about Bills and Chiefs. Sorry. Bills and Bengals at the start. So we'll talk about Niners and Dallas. Again, kind of touched on it before. It was 19-12 final score. It was really sloppy offense. But it was more so Dallas sloppy offense. It was more so Brock Purdy actually looked like a young QB out there facing off against a top 10 defense, which I don't think he's faced off against a really good defense in the regular season since he started. Trying to remember. I don't know the Niners schedule off the top of my head. Point is though, Dallas's defense kept them in the game, gave them a chance at the end. They just wasted their timeouts too soon and whatnot, and they had to call timeouts because people weren't getting out of bounds and whatnot. It was not. it wasn't really that good for Dallas. You put up 12 points. You put up 12 points. And, you had a blocked field goal, and then, or a blocked extra point, blocked extra point. So you put up one touchdown and 2 field goals, and that's it. Now, the Niners, they didn't do much better, because I believe they had, I think it was 2 touchdowns. Yeah, right? I'm trying to remember. I think it was 2 touchdowns, but then that's only 14. So how do you get 5 points? Because there was no safety. Maybe it was only 1 touchdown and then just a bunch of field goals. That must have been, or they must have tried to go for 2 at one point. They probably tried to go for 2 at one point. Maybe that's what I'm missing. So probably 13. Yeah, they had to. It probably was 2 points they were trying to go for at the end there to make it. Probably I think it was like was that 8-point game or whatever, and just failed. So, I don't know. I'm sorry. That'd be a 7-point game. 21. Yeah. 21 and 12, or 21 minus 12 is 8. Never mind. I can't do math. But it was really slow. It was like this game, both teams just looked meh. But at the same time, like the defenses were actually, doing their job here too. And the Niners offense really didn't get anything going until that insane George Kittle catch. That I believe it was the end of the third quarter, start of the fourth quarter, somewhere around there. Where he bobbled it, caught it, and then was able to avoid Diggs from making a lot of contact with them. Because if Diggs hits him, that ball probably pops free and it's probably incomplete. So, Kittle, catch of the week, one of the catches of the year. It essentially helped them get to the NFC Championship game. So, probably is catch of the year. probably. I know, we talk about Jefferson's catch, but that was a regular season game. This is the game that sent you to the championship game. And if they end up winning the Super Bowl, it's like, okay, they only won the Super Bowl because of this insane catch by George Kittle against the Cowboys. Otherwise, they'd probably go 3-and-out and punt the ball right back to the Cowboys. So this is up there for me as one of the best catches. I might have it better. I don't know. But it's just because this is the playoffs, so everything matters more. But point is, we got our final four heading to the AFC and NFC Championship game. We have no neutral site for the AFC Championship game because the Bills lost to the Bengals. So, the Bengals did, they got screwed out of everything because they were still able to probably win the number one seed before everything happened with Damar Hamlin in that game. So now you're in the AFC Championship game against the team that was essentially handed the number one seed. You got Philly hosting San Francisco, which is they're hosting the best defense in the league. But Brock Purdy and that offense looked mortal. CMC in that run game too. They didn't have a lot. There wasn't a lot. CMC had I think it was like an ankle sprain or something too. He was kind of, I kind of put him on the shelf at the end of the game, just let Mitchell just run the clock down, put Debo back there too. So hopefully he's healthy enough for next week. So, but that offense got slowed down a bit. They did get slowed down a bit. So we'll see how they do against the Eagles. Real quick, I'll put it up there for the total. I am 9-1 in this year's playoffs. I believe this ties my best so far heading into championship weekend. I believe last year I was 9-1 as well. I believe I went 5-0 in the wild card last year. I'm gonna go check that. I want to check that. I want to see these results. Again, we'll have a video at the end of the year, coming up in February, which is only just a couple weeks away. I only have 2 more reviews after this. I have the championship round and then the Super Bowl round, and that's it. And then we go into off season, and the channel is going to change. I'll talk about more of that as, probably Super Bowl recap. I'll talk more about that at the end. But let me know down below how'd you do on picks this weekend. How was you doing overall in the playoffs for picks? Who do you have winning? We'll talk about that tomorrow when I do my picks. For now, though, like the video, share the video around, subscribe. And 9-1. Let's go. Let's stay undefeated for 3 more games here.